Could Myles Garrett be headed to the Atlanta Falcons? Could he be on his way out of the door in the Cleveland Browns? There's been reports that come out recently that says Myles Garrett wants to win. We all know this, but could this be with a different team for Myles Garrett? Now, this report is coming from Ari Merov that essentially says Myles Garrett wants to stay in Cleveland. We all know that, but the team has to have an immediate plan to win. And if they don't have an immediate plan to win, that means Myles Garrett saying, so long, I'm out. Because I don't want to be in another rebuild for a team that's not good. I only have a couple years left in my prime. I want to be a team that wins. Myles Garrett is found, or he quoted basically saying, that would keep my mind at rest and settled. There has to be a plan of action. Essentially saying, if a team has a plan going forward on how they're going to be good, then I'll stay. Now that comes into somewhat of an interesting situation, and in this video I'll tell you how the Atlanta Falcons have the opportunity to obtain Myles Garrett for the future. Essentially what it comes down to, if Cleveland Browns basically rolls the dice and rolls the team out like they did this year, Myles Garrett will be gone. Because that team is not built to win. There is no plan for that team to win. Deshaun Watson being on that team is not a winning team. Now we see Cleveland basically saying Deshaun Watson's our guy, obviously to build up his trade value, because we all know the way he's been performing recently, he can't be the starter going forward. Now, if Cleveland comes out, basically gets rid of Deshaun Watson, puts all their egg in the basket to get another quarterback, and then they show improvement to help the team now, Myles Garrett will stay. But chances are that's not likely, especially on a team that's really not built to win a playoff or a championship right now. We've seen them trade away assets, and we've seen them kind of getting ready to go into full rebuild. And to be honest, Myles Garrett would give them a leg up on that rebuild in getting draft capital. Now, how can the Atlanta Falcons come into play? The Atlanta Falcons need still, I know we have Matthew Judon, and I know our sacks have gone up the last few games. They still need pass rush. And we've seen that Terry Fontenot just likes to get pass rush not in the draft, but into free agency and into trades. Now, could the Myles Garrett trade happen? Yes, the Atlanta Falcons would have to give a lot up, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. Because the Atlanta Falcons, I think, are a young team trying to win in the future. And we saw this move by the Michael Penix move. And I think the Michael Penix move and the direction that this team could potentially go in at the end of the season will show Myles Garrett, this team is ready to compete. We just need you, Myles Garrett. Now, to give up or to get Myles Garrett, you're going to have to give up a couple first rounders. But if the Atlanta Falcons are good enough, those first rounders really don't mean that much because they're basically second rounders or late first rounders, depending on how far the Atlanta Falcons get. Also, the Atlanta Falcons, I honestly believe, aren't that far away. They're really not. And I think if they get Myles Garrett, they'll be able to get the rest of their need in the draft, such as safety, maybe an additional defensive line, and maybe an additional offensive lineman. And that's all they need, in my opinion. They have receivers. They have the running back core. They still have Jesse Bates under contract. They have everything you need. You got your quarterback. Hopefully, cross your fingers of the future. You don't really need too much. And I think Myles Garrett will be that guy that will help you out immediately. And you could afford to give up 2, 3, 4 first rounders to get this impact playmaker going forward. Now, contractually, how will this work? Myles Garrett is set to make $25+ million next year. And I think the Atlanta Falcons have $7 million. They're $7 million under the basically luxury cap in regards to their salary next year. Now, I think Kirk Cousins' contract is included in that luxury cap, and so if they want to, or quote unquote, hopefully if they're able to trade Kirk Cousins, I think they will have about $25 million to play with because a team will pay his salary, and I think they will only have to pay $30 million. I think that's how that works. So essentially the Atlanta Falcons would be able to sign Myles Garrett or trade for Myles Garrett if they're able to trade Kirk Cousins. They'll also be able to do it in another way. They basically have to renegotiate some contracts. There's a lot of movement going there. But I think the Falcons could potentially make this move if they want to. Now, this is a move they need to make, especially with the change of the guard in Michael Penix, because you're allowed to get a little bit more aggressive because of that rookie contract that you have in Michael Penix. And I think this is I hate to say can't miss player, but we've seen what he did what he's done year after year after year, and this guy plays at an elite level, and he will elevate all of your roster. So, is Myles Garrett on his way to the Atlanta Falcons? I wouldn't say absolutely no. Now, there's a lot that needs to happen, but it could potentially happen. And if it does, mark me down. Mark me down of saying this right now. The Atlanta Falcons will win the Super Bowl. But if you agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. Let me know. If you want to see more videos like this, check this one out right here. Like always, peace.